This is Kevin McConville. He was 17 years old. And he was my baby boy, my pride and joy.
Born May 9th, 2005. Amazing kid, full of life and loved the outdoors. Very creative. Was planning a career in the military and possibly becoming a welder.
He would have been a senior this year.
He has a little sister that he loves very much.
The night of August 2nd, he asked if there was any more pizza, and I told him no, unfortunately, and I could make him his tuna. And he said no. He said, I'm just gonna go upstairs and go to sleep. And I said, I love you. He said, I love you too. The following day, I found him in his bed, asleep. What appeared to be asleep. But he was gone. And I couldn't bring him back.
Later, we found out that after their investigation, they said that there was a pill found next to Kevin in an Altoids tin can with a pill in a bag. It was a light blue colored pill with the M30 logo stamped into it, and they said they're believed to be fentanyl. These are the counterfeit pills that are going around.
I contacted one of his friends shortly after he had passed away to let him know that Kevin was gone. He was very heartbroken, and he had told us that Kevin confided in him that he was taking Percocet and Xanax to help him sleep. I think one of his, I don't want to call him a friend, I can't call him a friend, was doing it as well. And that friend originally gave him the pills because he probably confided in that person. And Kevin probably took them before and nothing happened. And so he continued to take them. I can't tell you how many times because I don't know. But it doesn't matter how many times you could take it. It could be your first time. It could be your last time. And no parent wants to see their child in that position, in that he looked like he was asleep.
The Kyle Police Department noticed a trend that began in late 2021 and really picked up momentum in 2022. This year, this calendar year, we have 7 deaths that we are investigating as fentanyl-related deaths in our community, and we've responded to many, many more that were fentanyl-related where the people involved actually survived. They had medical emergencies. CPR was performed on many of them. They were given Narcan to counteract any of the illegal drugs that they had taken and transported to the hospital for subsequent treatment. So the fact that they survived, they still went through a lot of treatment and issues to be medically cleared. However, the main point we're trying to get across is that 7 of our citizens have died this year, many of them teenagers, by using a fentanyl-laced product, a pill, a street-level drug that's illegal and unsafe. And we're trying to get a message out to everyone, and that includes parents, to the youth, to school teachers, brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles, everyone in the community, that there is a dangerous pill in our community, and we want to do everything we can to prevent the next death. A lot of the pills are made to look like other prescription drugs commonly, used and sold lawfully and prescribed by a doctor and created by a pharmaceutical lab, but they're not. These are street-level drugs made in basements, garages, yards. They're made by people that are not professionals. And when they come in, they look like a pill that you might see otherwise, but they're not. The new trend, however, is to take on a new look. There's actually some coming out, they're kind of giving it a nickname of rainbow because it has a different set of colors. It's got some pastel yellow, blue, and pink type colors. They're actually trying to mimic other candies.
They need to not take anything from anyone, their best friend, whatever. Their best friend may not know what's in it because they got it from somebody else, and it's M&Ms or it's Skittles or it's a bar that they think may be a little less harmless but still give them some kind of drug effect. But the tiniest little granules of this are lethal.
So the fentanyl use has been going on for the last 4 or 5 years. It's coming to a head recently because they're starting to mix it with different drugs, and the fentanyl combination that's out there right now is extremely deadly, mostly because of what they've mixed it with this round. Highly concentrated dose of fentanyl mixed with whatever else they decided to mix it with, and there's no real science behind a lot of this mixing. So nobody knows what the dose is that they're getting. I've been asked multiple times, what's a dose that's acceptable to take? And that's a trick question because nobody knows on this illegal stuff what dose is coming in the pills.
They're made by criminals. Their intent is to harm and get our children addicted to drugs. And what we need to do is first have that conversation with our children. The second thing you need to do is you need to get word to the children about all of the options and things that they can do for help. If their best friend is using drugs, what do they need to do? Do they need to tell someone? Absolutely. They need to tell their parents. They need to tell school officials. They need to report it to Crime Stoppers. But do something. Help us find the people that are responsible for these crimes. It is a criminal offense to sell illegal drugs. It is a criminal offense to do something that causes the death to another, whether unknowingly or knowingly. You can be held criminally responsible for your actions, and we're coming after you.
We use it on the ambulances. We use fentanyl on the ambulances all the time, but we have a very controlled dose, and we use it for pain management. And we know exactly what dose we have, and we've got the Narcan to counteract that if we need to. When we see kids on the street that have taken this, we have no idea what the dose is. The Narcan that we're using is not working in the traditional doses, so we've had to increase our doses and increase our supply and stock on it. The start of the response is the hard part. The best thing is if you're out partying with your friends and you see them doing this and you see them starting to get a little sluggish and start not feeling well and pass out, they may not be passed out because of whatever alcohol they've been drinking. They may be passed out because of this drug. The problem with being passed out with this drug is they may not be breathing either. The key for us is early notification. So your friends, you have to recognize it early and call us. And then when we get there, we have to walk in and figure out what's going on. Because it's an illegal drug, nobody really wants to tell us what's going on. Usually someone will whisper in our ear that it's a fentanyl overdose or a baby blue or whatever they're calling it today. And that gives us a clue into what we're treating. So we will come in, we will start IVs, we will start breathing for them. We'll intubate them if we need to, which means putting a breathing tube in, and we will start treatment with Narcan. All of that is in an effort to get them to the hospital so they can detoxify this drug out of their system.
A fentanyl death is fairly easy to determine when you get to the scene because you can see what's laying around. It's extremely, obviously we know it's extremely lethal. When I first get the call or see it on my screen and it's a teenager, it's heart-wrenching because you know it was a preventable death.
The big message that we want people to understand, these teenagers that we're hearing, the survivors, that oftentimes they know they're taking a fentanyl-laced product and they know it's not from a pharmacy, but it's an illegal drug made. They believe that they can take one small piece, a sliver of this drug, and that can be safe. And sometimes they're successful. They may take one piece, but then they decide to take the second piece because the first one didn't harm them, but the second one has the deadly amount of fentanyl in it, and they die in their bedroom. They die alone, they die unnecessarily, and we want to do everything we can to stop it.
The biggest point that I try to make with this is if you go out and you're partying with your friends and these pills come out, think about it for a second. Picture yourself not going home with your friend because they died from this drug. Or picture them going home without you because you're dead. Or even just transported to the hospital by ambulance. It'll be your worst day ever as a friend. It'll be your worst day ever as a parent. So the parents need to get involved in what their kids are doing and talk to the other siblings, because generally brothers and sisters know what the other one's up to. There's no good answer to finding out other than, you know, experimental drugs are just that. You're experimenting with your life.
So what we are seeing across our campuses is that we have a huge problem with fentanyl, specifically the Percocets, the blue pills, and it's really becoming a problem for us.
Well, when I get that phone call that a student has passed away, it's tragic. That's a phone call that no principal ever wants to receive. When I sit there, I have to really think about what I'm going to tell staff, what am I going to tell students.
It's also important to know how quick a reaction can happen, and that, you know, you may take something from a friend in class and go to the bathroom, and 2 minutes later you could pass out, and it may be a little bit before someone finds you.